should probably kick him out first. Al, people probably already saw it. What a tease. What a tease. We'll see. Oh, that's funny. Doesn't matter. Very beginning, he was there. And then he kicked him out.
Welcome, everyone. I know we promised Kenny and Ryan from Pursuit Spirits, but it's just Brian and I.
No, it's not true. We were trying to tease it. We were trying to tease it for all the people who want. He's back. They're back.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, guys. Well, it's okay. What an intro.
What an intro. You really churched that one up. Way to go.
Not audio good.
I haven't put on a blazer for you guys. Jeez.
It's funny. I'm going to try and before we get too far, I'm going to log in on the old Instagram so I can catch some folks' chats over there. There we go. Yeah, we're there. We're live there. We're live here. I think Tyler's already been through the whole calendar, man, already. If you've been watching these comments, he's, spoiler alert, guys, he is upset on my behalf about a lack of Four Roses in the calendar. I don't know if you expected it, guys, from the Craft Advent calendar, but
I would love if, Four Roses is listening, I would love to have them in the calendar, but
listen, if Four Roses is listening, hold on a second. If Four Roses is listening, let me get started. Let me pull up my note.
I don't know why people would be upset already. You're only on day 3. That means you've cheated and looked at them already, right? So you gotta slow down.
Oh my goodness. Well, before we get too far, I do want to remind anyone who is just catching the replay. Hello. We're Seelbach, and we are working our way through the Seelbach Advent calendar for anyone who picked it up. 24 days of delicious craft whiskeys. Tonight, we have the folks from Pursuit Spirits here. They're going to get into what we have for day 3. We're going to talk all about it. You got questions. If you're in the chat, if there are questions, all these types of things. If you get a chance, smash that like button, as the kids say. Subscribe so you don't miss the other ones that we have going on. I'll say this at the end of the show as well, but we have a few lives throughout the session in order to preserve what might be the sample. The following dates will be December 7th, 8th, 11th, 17th, 19th, 21st, the 22nd, and then a pre-recording on the 24th. So you don't necessarily have to catch that on Chris. Don't leave grandma's house on the 24th expecting, something crazy like that. But those are the other dates you can catch us. We're going to be here tasting through some of the stuff from the calendar. If you like some stuff here, this QR code that is I don't know how to point is over here throughout the streams is going to take you to the Advent calendar collection page. So if you want to just peruse through some of the text or some of the stuff that's on the site as we go through releases, that's what that link will take you through there. But as we're getting started too, if you're in the chat, let us know where you're from. Let us know what you think about the calendar so far. Rob said day 1 was amazing. Been nosing the Pursuit, waiting for the live. So that's great. Ooh, Robbie Goldsmith popping in on Instagram saying this is cozy. Yeah, dude, I worked on the Advent Lounge for a while. I wanted someplace cozy. I didn't mean to put Kenny and Ryan on the hot seats. Can I switch them around? Can I switch? Here, look. Me and Blake will be on the hot seat.
Yeah, get me out of the fire.
Well, I feel like that's kind of the fun part of tonight's live tasting is for those who are watching and aren't as familiar with Seelbach or Pursuit or whatever it is. So unfortunately, all 4 of us know each other really well. We've done the Bourbon Community Roundtable for the last, 10 years together. And if you don't know the Pursuit guys, so they run the Bourbon Pursuit podcast. I was episode number 5. I won't dive into that story just yet, but really incredible thing that they have built kind of has become the podcast of bourbon and in a lot of arenas and branched off 7 years ago now to start Pursuit Spirits. Is that right? What I would say
8
is,
years.
well, Seelbach hasn't been around for 8 years, so
Well, I'm trying to think. 2018. Yeah, you're right. 7
2018.
years. My bad.
I will say one of the first big hits we ever had on Seelbach, which was one of the first Pursuit episodes, is what they did whenever they're first releasing just single barrels only online, was one of the Pursuit episodes. And I'll never forget, it's like Kenny calls me, he's like, hey, we're in Memphis and I think we may get some barrels and do our own thing. Could you run these through Seelbach? And I'm like, we just started like 3 months ago. I'm sure we could figure it out. And here we are 7.5, 8 years later. And so this has been a fun episode that I've been looking forward to, just because, kind of what it's meant to everybody on this whole bourbon journey. And so I'm excited. Yeah, that was the long-winded intro of saying, Kenny and Ryan, thank you for joining me and Brian. And usually Kenny is in the DJ seat of who's let in, who's not let in, is everybody's mic working? So I like a little bit of the tables being turned and you guys just showing up to do an interview. So thanks for joining us. And tell us a little bit more about what we may be tasting tonight.
And ironically, our mics suck tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, I'm on AirPods. We're not in the studio tonight.
If there are any Bourbon Community Roundtable listeners, just hear that. Just hear how bad that they sound.
And just know buying that filter was going to be worthwhile tonight.
Yeah, I take so much heat off of my mic being bad that, Kenny's just over here in a hoodie and AirPods, like this is the first day of school. And
I'm just pulling my Blake Jacksonville, Florida card on this one. Like, I'm just gonna phone it in and just I'll be there.
He's a Green Wolf Lodge right now, but he would never miss a Seelbach Live.
Oh man, but I'll let Ryan kind of talk about the whiskey, and just to kind of follow it up, Blake. Obviously this is something that we wouldn't miss this for the world to be a part of this. You mentioned those first couple barrels that we ran through Seelbach, and I always kind of tell people our coming to age tale of even starting Pursuit was the same exact time when Seelbach was getting started, and we were the first stress test that Seelbach ever really had to go through when it came to getting hundreds of orders in the matter of just a couple of hours and figuring out how the heck we're going to get this. And then states are on, states are off, and all hell broke loose from time to time. But it's amazing to see how far you and your organization has come in just those many years, and what you've been able to do and build a massive community around everything you've built. So hats off to you and the entire Seelbach team of what you're able to do and provide to the world of whiskey lovers out there, because we sing your praises all the time, but it's just awesome to kind of see a lot of these people out here and buying the advent calendars and wanting to be a part of this. So thanks again for including us, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I appreciate that. I will say the stress test is probably a stress test we failed. If somebody asked me about Seelbach and some of the early days, it's like, yeah, we hit the ground running. And I remember those first few barrels and being at Disney World with my kids, and my brother's like, your 4 kids are running around like crazy. I'm trying to get them in line to Slinky Dog Dash or something. Get off your phone. I'm tired of watching your kids and my kids. I'm like, we got a Pursuit order and we got to figure it out. It's always fun to look back and think of like what was stressful back then, because, if we're being honest on this thing, we were all just kind of flying blind. We love bourbon. We love getting great bourbon out to people, but as far as like a economic commerce business side of things, we were all just falling forward. So it's kind of the same thing back whenever I hear the Pursuit numbers of like what the downloads are, how many states you're in, how many cases you're doing. It's fun. We won't get all sappy the entire night and try to compliment each other, because we'll we'll get the first 5 minutes out and then just start making fun of each other for the rest of the episode. But
that would be more ideal.
Yeah, we can do that, and then we can also give Brian some love for just the grand ideas and his.
Brian's
ability.
What keeps all of us together. So I think
he really is.
Brian's what makes everything happens for both of us. So
I mean, look, I was gonna let Blake run this whole monologue, but I'm just sitting here like, I mean, I can remember all the times that I've been on the Bourbon Community Roundtable like they were yesterday. You know, so. Bunch of a-holes over here. I'm just sitting back here like,
you've got your own podcast now with him, Brian. It's fine. It's yeah. But no, it is fun, and just the reason for this advent calendar was our whole goal, as corny as it sounds, is like, hey, we want to unlock craft spirits for more people, and when we can do that with people who we've been around with for such a long time and enjoy being around, we know they're producing great stuff. It kind of aligns perfectly. And so I don't want us making fun of each other to take away from that, but it truly is, a big part of why this advent calendar exists, why Seelbach exists. So that's the fun part. And, did I introduce you to 2 of your 3 sources on your 3-state blend? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out later in the episode. But
at least one for
and
sure.
Maybe one.
I claim 2.
But yeah, just to second what Kenny says, Blake, you've kind of been a lifeline for the industry and craft producers, around the country. And I don't know what craft producers would do without someone like Seelbach, and because most people don't know the traditional route to market's so difficult and challenging, and you've given an outlet for brands like ours to find our fans, find the people that want us, and what you've built has been absolutely amazing. I look at Brian's office at all the freaking single barrel picks and all the stuff you're doing, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? How do y'all keep track of all this? How do you sell this? But it's truly awesome, and I couldn't be more proud of you. And you were definitely smarter to go on the retail side. I don't know why you're dealing with the brand side, but anywho.
I guess we should also explain for those watching that all the wonderful photos that you see on the emails and on the site and everything, the Seelbach studio is actually in Melwood at Pursuit's warehouse. So all those bottles that are being shot.
Why you got to out me like this?
Ryan's trying to jump in the background and like throw a Pursuit sticker or something in, and we got to kick him out. And that's where I think a lot of the stuff that we kind of take for granted at times, just like how small of a community the bourbon world is. And it's fun. But all right, I'm done rambling and talking about all that. Brian,
let's talk about what we're drinking.
You ready to jump into what we're drinking?
Absolutely. I mean, I think some of the listeners probably have already poured. If not, we're pouring time. So everyone, let's get some pours ready. And do we start with like a big cheers? Just tell people just to go at their own leisure. I don't want to leave people hanging.
Okay, I know what he's leading. I know what he's leading up to. He's got some soundtracks that he's just been dying to play, and we're gonna.
Nope. It has nothing to do with the soundtrack. I wanted to make sure that people aren't like waiting 40 minutes while we jibber jaw and then say, should we, dive into it? But Ryan, I'll pass it over to you.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So thank
Aren't you glad I haven't figured out how to use the sound effects on our roundtables yet?
Yeah, it's too distracting for Kenny.
There it is.
Yeah. So am I getting the whiskey or not? No.
Yeah, go for it.
Wow.
Yeah, so thank you for letting us be a part of this. Day 3, this is our Pursuit United Double Oak Bourbon. So for those that don't know, we have our Pursuit United Bourbon, which is a blend of 3 different whiskeys from 3 different states, and 3 different producers. So when we sought out, we knew we were NDPs. We were not going to distill our own whiskey. And we looked at the sourced market and looked, all right, how can we be different? And so because of the podcast that you talked about, kind of the community we built, we had access to a lot of interesting, unique whiskeys. And we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we contract distill, partner with world-class distilleries to make our whiskey for us to our specs, and we can really dial in the art of blending by blending these 3 different mash bills. So all of our Pursuit United bourbons are a blend of Kentucky bourbon made by Bardstown Bourbon Company. We do a 78, 10, 12 mash bill from there. Blake did not introduce us to that one. Our second mash bill that we do is a Tennessee distillery in Columbia, Tennessee. We're pretty transparent. We can't just like say this is who it is, but if you want to Google Tennessee distillery in Columbia, you can figure it out. They're a big producer for a lot of brands, but they make fantastic bourbon there in Tennessee. And people always ask, why don't you do just Kentucky straight bourbon? And I'm like, well, when you taste Tennessee, this whiskey from this producer, it's just as good, if not better, than any Kentucky distillery. And so we didn't care about where it was made. We cared about flavor. And then the third component is really our wild card and our ace in the hole that Blake did introduce us to, which is Finger Lakes Distilling out of Finger Lakes, New York. They have a brand called McKinsey. They make a wheated bourbon. It's a 70-20-10 wheated mash bill. And when we tasted it, we just thought it was incredible. I always make this line that if Finger Lakes was produced in Kentucky, they would probably be as popular as New Riff or Willet or, Wilderness Trail, you name it. But because they're in New York, they don't definitely get the recognition, but they make an incredible wheated bourbon. So it's a blend of 2 rye bourbons and a wheated bourbon that make up our United bourbon line. We had came out with our United bourbon. We knew that double oaked was a popular category. Woodford has obviously led the path for most producers in the double oak category, and most producers with a double oak, they traditionally take a blend of whiskey and then they put it into new charred 3 and 4 American oak barrels, let it age for 6 to 12 months or however long to get that extra oak extraction, to give the whiskey some more depth, more chocolatey, dark kind of flavors, rich, vibrant flavors. And we were like, well, how can we be different? And we were working with Independent Stave and Seguin Monroe and Interstave, and we're really leaning into this stave finishing program that Independent Stave really led with Maker's Mark. And they had done tons of research on different French oaks, American oaks, different custom chars, toasted, all these things. And we were really excited about that because as blenders, we're really trying to figure out how many levers of flavor we can pull. And so we went through about 200 different experiments with different woods, different toasts, different chars from American French oak to find our double oak product. And Kenny and a lot of people are big fans of Old Grandad that was produced by National Distillers it went out of business in 1992. If you ever had Old Grandad that was made pre-1992 by National Distillers, it's some of the best whiskey ever. It has this really just deep Werther's butterscotch kind of flavor profile, rich oak, just a fantastic whiskey. And that was kind of my aim. I was like, I want to try to recreate something that tastes like Old Grandad. And so went through a bunch of different trials and experiments. We landed on French oak that we custom toasted. It really came down to I was failing with all my experiments, and I was drinking a French oak Chardonnay, and it was really buttery. And I messaged the winery and I said, "Hey, who are you using for a cooperage?" And they were like, "Oh, we use ISC." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send them a message." And so I was like, "Hey, I talked to this producer. What kind of woods are they using?" And they're like, they're using this 36-month French oak that's been lightly toasted, because in wine world they don't want a lot of char. They just want the oak to be kind of more of a holding vessel for fermentation. And so we experimented with what they had, thought it was okay. We were kind of like, but I was like, well, how can we tweak it a little bit more? And so we did some custom toast experiments on this French oak, and landed on one, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is the one that we've been searching for. And so this is a long-winded way of saying you're tasting our United Bourbon, which is a blend of 3 different mash bills, but then finished with French oak staves that have been seasoned for 36 months and custom toast. And the toast is somewhere between a light and medium toast, but it just gives it this nice, and we don't have to, Brian, you're the kind of, if you want me to get into nose tasting and all this stuff, you let me know. But
you can get into whatever you want to get into.
Yeah. So the first thing, like always, when I nose our double oak, is like you get that strong, just like butterscotch, caramel, buttered popcorn, like maple syrup kind of notes. But you also get some nice citrus. You get some like cardamom. You get some baking spices. You get that toasted oak kind of flavor profile. But it kind of really translates to the palate too. It's, super buttery. I'll taste it just to refresh myself, because we've done.
You taste it, and I'll talk for a sec. I'll give you a little break. So, because I think Ryan's being very shy about the fact that on the market, because again, I think there's a lot of people who are going to try the Advent calendar who had not had a chance to try Pursuit. I think there's a lot of, it's easy in our realm to think that a lot of people know who Pursuit are, but because they don't have a large distribution outside of, online retailers that they work with in order to get that out there, a lot of folks haven't had a chance to try this, let alone the double oaked. But when the double oak came out, I mean, it was getting a ton of chatter for its specific buttery butterscotch Werther's type flavor profile. So it's actually really interesting for us to have it in the calendar, or for people to be able to experience if they haven't, because I feel like Pursuit Double Oak kind of changes the perspective of what people think of when they think of a double oak bourbon, and the way that it lays its flavors out. So if you have not had a double oak bourbon before, this is an interesting and unique experience in that foray. So not necessarily something you might expect in other double oaks, or if you've tried other double oaks before and you're like, I don't know, they're not really for me, this is a lot different. It's a very interesting bridging type pour because of that, like, really big buttery mouthfeel type sweetness, and a pour that I think, at its 108 proof, usually drinks richer than that for those kind of reasons.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, Brian. And I think that's kind of a through line of everything we do at Pursuit. Is it's about how can we be different. Everybody is it's a bunch. I mean, the bourbon world is a big kind of copycat model, and everybody's just trying to figure out, like, oh, we can do this too. And when we had gone through all these experiments, and we didn't actually start this experiment going like, oh, we're going to create something called double oaked. We had originally had something we called twice toasted, where we did toasted American oak and toasted French oak, and we still have that today as our twice toasted product. And it was just a natural evolution to just start figuring out, well, what's our next product going to be? We're going through all these different stave experiments, and as Ryan said, we landed on this one and we tried it. We're like, holy shit, like, this is really amazing. But what do we call it? We could have called it anything, but to be fair, the marketing plays a big role in this, and the word double oak is just synonymous in the world of bourbon. And obviously, hats off to Woodford for making it so popular and everybody else kind of following along with it. But we knew that when we came out something called double oak, well, people would automatically be gravitated to it. They're going to pull it off the shelf. But I think what really made us stand out and be different is the fact is, when you try it, you go, that's not what I expected. Most people expect the deep, robust, the tannins, the more oak, like intense oak character, and you're really not getting that. It's really out of left field, and that is, I think, what really kind of set it apart. That got a lot of the initial upswing with it, and it's obviously been the best seller that we have at the gift shop. And starting tomorrow, we're getting ready to bottle another 350 cases of it or something like that. So
409.
400. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, we can't make it fast
and they
enough.
call me the spreadsheet guru. Like, I mean, like 409 Kenny.
Yeah, we can't make it fast enough. And a lot of initial people, they see it, they're like, oh, it's lighter in color. It's not like that deeper. As Kenny was talking about, the robust, like, tannins, coffee, chocolate that you get with typical double oaks. And we I think it really just shines on its own and kind of, like, puts the category in a totally different direction, because people get hung up on double oaked and they're like, well, it has to be this. And double oak's not like a TTB term by any means. It just really means like there's a secondary finish going on here. And so, yeah, we're really excited about this product. When you asked us to make 1,050 mLs of it, we were like, but we knew we wanted to get it out to people and get people to try it. So I hope people are enjoying it. This is one that my bourbon friends that, not my bourbon friends, but my friends that aren't bourbon drinkers that are like, oh, 108 proof too hot, this and that. Like, they try this and they're like, oh my gosh, this is really, really like something that I enjoy, that it's approachable, but yet has a ton of depth, ton of flavor that somebody that's just getting into whiskey can enjoy, but also somebody that's a aficionado can appreciate and enjoy too. There's just a lot of nuance and delicate flavors in there that we really enjoy.
I feel like this question brings us closer to Bourbon Community Roundtable territory right here. No, that was my lead-in basically.
I'll read it out loud. Is it difficult for the American market to talk recask? Does it mean something different for the U.S. market? I know I'm kind of hosting, but I can only, revert back to my Bourbon Community Roundtable self and think like, oh, I'm gonna jumpstart this conversation with my answer. But I'll hold back because I have my thoughts. So, Kenny and Ryan, what do you think with, as far as double oaking, recasking goes in the American whiskey side? Does it mean something different? Scotch has been doing secondary aging, Irish whiskey for sure. All these other types of whiskey for a very long time. Like, how do you think about that when you compare the two? It's like, we know Macallan's going to be sherry finished or whatever it is. We know, like, how does that fit into the American whiskey market of things?
Yeah.
Honestly, Brian, you want to go first, or I can jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as, whether it's a good word or a bad word, but everybody's looking for a new angle. They're looking for the quote unquote I word, or the innovation. Like, what is innovation? Because you're constantly just trying to stay in front of the consumer, and how do we get their attention? We've said this on the podcast. We've been saying it for a couple of years now. It feels like that when a lot of us that are sitting here on the camera, when we got into bourbon 10 plus years ago, getting really high aged bourbon at a relatively affordable price was easy to come by. Blake made his hallmark on poor man's pappy, for God's sake, right? Like, it was like you could go find Weller 12. Like,
we now call it the weeded Seelbach Private Reserve,
but we came into this and having something that was like really easily attainable and really for a great quality and great price point. Now we're at the point where there is a lot of saturation inside the market, and there's a lot of stuff on the shelf, and so it's like, well, how do you stand out? Oh, we're gonna finish it in this, we're gonna double cast this, we're gonna blend it with this, we're gonna triple, twice, quadruple, whatever it is, oak it to be able to kind of like stand out. And I think that it's not mostly a fact of or can we talk about it. I think it's just a necessary part of the marketing of like, how do we continue to push whatever you're trying to do to just like stay inside the limelight and in front of the consumer.
Yeah, I agree. And too, with bourbon, especially like us being Kentucky boys, is like, there's a ton of tradition. There's a lot of TTB regulations to be like a straight bourbon whiskey. It has to, just be the 51% corn, new American oak. That's it, and where Scotch is kind of accepted, like, okay, we have this Scotch, but we can put it in XYZ cask. It doesn't matter. It's a single malt, and I think what's been fun over the last 10 years, especially I'd say the last 6 to 8, is that people have become more accepting of like, okay, what are the guidelines that can be a bourbon, but how can you like play in those guardrails? And two, anytime you double oak or cast finish or this, it's no longer like a straight bourbon whiskey. It's a distilled spirit specialty, or however you want to call it, if you're one to get nerdy. But most Americans don't care about that. They care about interesting and unique flavors, and so I think Americans are becoming more accepting of it. It's just like the word of blending, like blended whiskey or whatever. Americans were like, "Oh, that's a dirty word," because blended whiskey used to be neutral grain spirits with caramel, vanilla, everything added. But now, you have really good blenders like Barrel or Us or K-Luke, Short Barrel, you name it, that are taking straight bourbon whiskeys and blending them together to create really interesting profiles. And I think the American consumer is becoming more comfortable with that and is seeking interesting, unique flavors. And to be fair, that's the only way you're going to get interesting, unique flavors. Traditionally, distilleries, the way they get flavors, they take the same mash bill, same distillate, and they put it in cask and they sit in a warehouse and they rely on what tier it is, the seasons, and they let Mother Nature determine what the flavors will be. Whereas with blending and cask finishing or stay finishing, you really can be more intentional about creating flavors. And that's what's exciting for us as blenders. Whereas like someone like Heaven Hill or Buffalo Trace, they just kind of, it's a repeatable process. They just make the same whiskey, put it in a barrel, and they let Mother Nature determine if it's good or bad. Whereas we can be more kind of intentional about it, and that's what's exciting for us.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of to that same point where I actually almost messaged Brian this today. It was like, hey, what we're producing and talking about with a lot of these brands and distilleries is it's not a boardroom doing, production or, reconnaissance on what should be the next product. It's people who are in it. And I think that's what we have with the Double Oak. It's like people who are completely immersed in the bourbon world. They know what's going on. They know what tastes good. They've tasted dozens, if not hundreds of different things, and they're creating products for bourbon people. And that's where, we love it at Seelbach, just because we want products produced by actual bourbon enthusiasts. We don't want products produced by a boardroom who decides, oh, I bet X, Y, and Z is going to taste good after, call it 7 years in the barrel. It's actually people in the day-to-day side of things. And I really do think like the Double Oak just is an exemplary kind of product for that. Like you went through what Double Oak works. You went through what kind of different staves. I did see a comment in the chat about, are there any Kelvin barrel coming? That's one of our favorites at Seelbach, is any Kelvin barrels. But I feel like it's just, it's a whiskey product from whiskey people for whiskey people, and it shows off in the spirit.
Yeah, you speak of Kelvin, and we love Kelvin cooperage. We actually use those for our wheated bourbon from Finger Lakes. We use Kelvin cooperage just because we think wheated bourbon is one of those type of spirits that typically it needs a lot longer time to age to kind of get those grassy, earthy notes. And Kelvin, we landed on them because they use 36 months seasoned staves, and then heavy. We use a char 4 with those, and then it also has a toasted heads and this and that. So it really just kind of gives that wheated bourbon, really rounds it off, gives it some nice dark fruit flavors that everybody enjoys about Kelvin. But we also utilize independent stave barrels. We worked with their lead research scientist, Andrew Wiebrink, who's been studying barrels for 20 plus years and what different toast and chars produce what flavors. And so we've really made intentional decisions to like how we want our whiskeys to taste. And so we do a mix of char 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. We do an 18-month seasoning on those. And so what's fun is like the cooperage side has come so far in the research and analytics and the data that they can provide us as producers, that we can make educated decisions on how we want our whiskey to taste and create really cool flavor profiles for our consumers.
Yeah. That's
Like
the
I'm not trying to make this a sales thing because that's not the point of this.
I thought you were going to
But
say
we
my mic is off, but
no, but no, we were talking about this, and having them on today just happens to coincide with the fact that during our 12 days of whiskey. So for folks who like got the advent calendar, they're not a Seelbach, they don't follow Seelbach necessarily. During our email list, we do 12 days of whiskey, and we release different whiskeys. And tomorrow for day 4, as a spoiler, is a 2-barrel blend of Pursuit United Double Oaked that Ryan and I put together. So pro members already have access to that, and I might have put a password on the page if you want me to drop that for folks who just might be interested.
Throw it in the chat. Yeah. Although I will say, we will say you and Ryan put it together. Back to the part we said enough nice things about them. Brian put this blend together. So, but no, I feel like that's a great spoiler alert that we do have our own private blend of the double oak coming tomorrow. And that was, I feel like that's a good lead in to what's coming tomorrow. If you're interested in these types of things and kind of the story behind them, because that was a tobacco oak barrel, and I believe a blend of French and American oak stave double oaking was the 2 barrels that we did from that.
Seguin Monroe. Yep.
And so like, are you saying that correctly? I thought it was Seguin Monroe. But
their salesperson tells me Seguin Monroe.
Yes. Okay. So I've been saying it wrong. In the South, we can kind of get away with, you just kind of mumble it for a second and people think you know what you're talking about. But when you're talking about just the different private picks of the double oaking, and I know there's a bunch of different barrel selections that go on, like are those experiments? Are those just things you're trying out to see how they finish, or kind of what's the thought process behind some of those different private barrels when you're letting people come in and do their own double oak barrel pick of it? Stuff you've been tasting you like and you throw it out there, or how does that process work?
I mean, I can talk about it a little bit, but you got to realize that Seelbach is kind of a special one, right? Like, you are the only ones. I think maybe
I'm glad you said it. Thank you, Kenny. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're going to end it at that, and
let's get it out. Yeah, I mean, but I think you're one of only 2 people that have ever done multi-barrel blends, right? And so it says something about what you all are trying to do, and now that's starting to kickstart other people that are wanting to do something very similar because they've been selecting a couple barrels from us now. But yeah, I mean, this all goes back into the top of the show when Ryan was talking about all the different blends and all the different stave profiles that we were messing with, those 200 different experiments. I mean, 200 different experiments got boiled down to about 12 that we really enjoyed with our whiskey. And when we had all these going back and saying well, we're not just going to make a bunch of new products. What are we going to do with all this sort of stuff? And that's when I kind of had the great idea, and I said, well, let's create a double oaked single barrel program out of this, or a double oak private select program, where you can create your, we have our own as a part of our Pursuit Double Oaked, which is what you're trying tonight. But we had all these other stave profiles that we didn't want to just get rid of. And so by doing this, we're allowing people to come in and now select their own barrel. But the thing that's very unique about it is that all the barrels that go into a blend are going to be different. The ratios of the blend are going to be different. Those barrels, so that whiskey is then re-entered back into different barrels. So whether they were from Independence Stave, Kelvin, whether it was New York or Tennessee or Kentucky, and then you add the stave in there, there's so many different variables and factors into play that each barrel essentially becomes a snowflake. We can't recreate one even if we tried. So that's the kind of interesting thing that we do as a part of the private select program, is that even though it is a a straight whiskey, a straight bourbon and rye whiskey blend, depending on which one you're going to choose, they're always going to be different every single time you come back to them. But the stave profiles, the stave inserts that we do use, they do impart a very consistent flavor, but they are going to be nuanced as you start going through there. So the fun part about it is being able to have people come in and find one that really speaks to them, because we've got some that are on the more delicate side, which is like our Rhone stave, which isn't even charred. It's just lightly toasted and usually used for just the winemaking process. And then on the flip side, we have something called our V18, which is probably the most intense of oak of anything. And now you kind of have this huge varying degree of stuff that's in between. So we can provide a lot of variable differences inside there. And I'm sure that anybody out there that's done a single barrel pick before, and you've gone to some of the larger distilleries, and maybe you're splitting hairs because you're trying barrels that are the same exact age that's set next to each other for 10 years. And you're like, well, this one's marginally better than this one, or so on and so forth. With ours, you're going to get a huge, wide, varied flavor array. So you can certainly see the differences between them.
Yeah. And it's even more fun when you blend them together, because it's like, especially with this blend, it's like this particular tobacco stave that we use, like this barrel that was super like walnutty, mapley, cherry pipe tobaccos, like that sweet pipe tobacco. And so it's like very sweet, very forward. And then you take the Seguin Monroe, which the V18 Kenny was talking about, which was super like rich oak, deep tannins, like a lot of cherry cola, a lot of like Dr. Pepper flavor profiles. And then you put those together and it creates something special and unique that you just can't get out of a traditional like double oak profile. And so this blend that, and I will say Brian did mostly lead the charge on this. And we went into our mobile redneck rickhouse, which for people that don't know, we have a UPS trailer that we.
No, it's branded Pursuit. I've seen it.
It's a Pursuit trailer. It's a Pursuit trailer.
We are in an urban environment that we have a warehouse, but the temperatures don't fluctuate as much as a traditional rickhouse. And so we decided to get a trailer that we can put out in the elements, and during the summer it can get up to 120 degrees in there. In the winter, like today, it was 25 degrees in there, and so you get these huge temperature swings, and it really creates really interesting and unique flavors for our whiskey. But me and Brian just went in there and started tasting a bunch of stuff, and I gave him a beaker and he started throwing things together, and by God, this one's freaking incredible. It's awesome.
So I got to hit on a couple of things. There's stuff all over the place. So real quick, so for anyone who didn't notice too, again, I'm not just trying to plug it, but I got to go in my rounds. Okay, I changed this QR code. This QR code now does take you to this 2-barrel blend that we're talking about right now. The password is this day 3 that's scrolling. So I want to hit that. Second point, single malt, about the Pursuit Cigar Blend. No. And again, not trying to make this a sales point, but I think Ryan can attest to this too. We still got just a handful of cases left of a Pursuit United double oak rye blend that we did. And in my notes, I want to go back and read them. There's a part in the notes where I said, anyone looking for Pursuit United cigar blend, consider this the beta test. And I still stand by that. I think they've done a couple of different finishes that kind of lean into the type of profile somebody who is looking for a cigar finish, as they call them, would like. But I do think that rye blend leaned into it. I think that you keep your eyes peeled for some stuff coming out in 2026 from the guys. If you ended up seeing like the Mizunara release, I think all of these kind of have little essences, interesting little nuances that can tickle a cigar lover's fancy without the amber on them. And then I want to hit on the point, pretty rye for a Bry guy over on Instagram. I feel like I'm leaving the Instagram folks out because they don't pop up in the comments for us to highlight here. But he was asking if this was the Boo Rye blend replacement. We don't necessarily have to get into the whole story, but we could. But to answer your question,
did we talk about that publicly, or does he have some insider information?
He must have watched our video. No, he must have watched our. He must have watched our video. So Rob, you can do the password in the comments. The password is scrolling across the bottom of this video. So it's day 3. Day 3 is the password to get into that page. What's the damage for the bottle? I think Blake responded that was on Instagram. It's $80. But also, Emily wanted me to make sure to remind folks too. So this guidebook as you're going through the Seelbach Advent Calendar too, just every page should have a QR code also on them. So if you were to go to the page, we're on 3 now, so I'm not spoiling anything. But for just a full bottle of the bourbon that we're tasting tonight, the regular Pursuit Night Double Oak, you can scan the QR code right there. It'll take you to the page, and you can pick that up there. So just a couple of things, but
it's a great picture too, Ryan. It's a great picture that you took there.
Amazing.
It is, and in the
AI
Pursuit
does
Studios,
wonders, man.
I feel like we made this joke on the first night of Advent Calendar. It's like, could we turn this into a QVC style community where it's like, all right, we got 30 seconds left on the next.
And he won't understand the QVC, but he will understand the TikTok live shop. Guys, I've got 15 more minutes, guys. You can't miss it, guys. I'm telling people.
Me and Ryan
I don't know
are the
what
only
to
ones not on
I don't know what else.
TikTok, and
I don't know what to do. Jump in the
know
comments, guys. 15 more minutes. Okay, best deal of the year. We never do this. And we're doing this
like QVC.
now here.
Spot on, man.
It's
You
like
got a lot of
something like
energy
that, right?
for 9:30. Yeah,
I should
love
be,
it.
I should be on. I should do TikTok lives, I think.
Missed opportunity. That's what happens when the espresso comes later in the day. Just
I feel like Brian has an IV drip of it, just always.
Tonight's caffeine intake is holiday creamy vanilla Coke
Ooh.
Zero. Look at that beautiful
Solid
can.
Very beautiful.
Look at
Solid
that.
choice.
Coke Zero is much better than the regular, but oh, Chris, he got me on the easy pay option. I don't know, man. I'm making it easy by giving you QR code and a password. What else you want? It's pretty easy, right? Less than 15 minutes, Chris.
Does anybody have? Which, while we bring up TikTok, is the Pursuit TikTok still going? Because I mean, I would like to get in a debate over who had a better viewer count. Because for those who don't know, Kenny posted, I mean, this is probably 2 years ago at this point, did an ice maker thing where like the ice melted on, made an ice. What's the company? We'll give them a shout out.
Meltdown Ice Press.
Meltdown Ice Press.
They're no longer in
Meltdown Ice.
Oh
Okay.
no! Too many
We'll
TikTok
get
shops.
into that later. We got to have a few drinks first, and we'll dive into that. But Meltdown Ice Press did a thing, and all of a sudden, people are like sending this stupid TikTok to me, like, "Have you ever seen this?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's Kenny's hands. I know him." It was like 17 million views. But Brian, last Christmas time, did his bottle pop video to Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas. And I'm pretty sure that may have overtaken the Meltdown Ice Press on viewer
yes.
count. Can we do a
I kind of would
official-
rather have done an ice. Kind of would rather have the ice thing, honestly.
Although the best part of it was he did it without a Pursuit bottle in the background. It was like, well,
There was
had I
a
known it was
Pursuit
gonna
popped.
blow up.
There's a Pursuit popped though, wasn't there? Or is that in the
Yeah.
No,
redo
in
video?
your video, but
It was
in the
it was like a
Meltdown Ice Press,
nanosecond. where
it was,
Oh yeah, the meltdown. I could have crushed.
and
Yeah,
now you got
I'm
a
not
ton of copycats.
I don't know. I don't know if there are actually people who are still like going active on TikTok within the bourbon space, but every time I post a video to TikTok, it's like you violated the rules. And I'm like, you know what? I give up bourbon on TikTok. I can't.
Oh,
Whatever.
you're trying to trigger Kenny now. He's rubbing the beard. I mean, the
Just
beard's
waiting.
been solid for like 3 months now. He's just
I was waiting for my moment to chime in there. By the way, thank you for putting up there. Meltdown is still very much in business
No,
there,
I know.
Ryan. I just had to look up on their website. Yeah, I don't want them sending me nasty emails being like, what are you disparaging our name over here for? So but no,
Run it back.
by the way, it was in 2020. So it was like height of COVID. Maybe not 2020, 21 to 20-ish, something about that time frame. When everybody was sitting at home. But yeah, that's kind of when I really got into TikTok was during that point, because I had made a I don't know about a promise to myself, but I said I missed the boat on Instagram of trying to build our community through there because I put a lot of effort in on Twitter in the early days. And so I said, well, I see this TikTok thing coming. Like, I'm going to go ahead and just start doing stuff over there. So I felt like I was definitely early into that world. And then I know everybody's going to fight me on this one, especially Ree and Ryan. We have battles all the time. He still doesn't realize that TikTok is like 10 times bigger than Instagram. But the reality is, like, when I was creating the content over there, it was just dumb stuff. It was just an outlet. I wasn't really doing anything that was really bourbon related, and it was just kind of a different creative outlet.
You
And
doing
it wasn't
dances and
I wasn't doing dances. But I was doing dumb stuff over there. It was just kind of fun. But then, at some point, I think I got a little bit older and things got a little bit crazier and I didn't really worry about it. But then also at some point I started scrolling through the algorithm, and then people were doing whiskey reviews through there. And I was like, well, now it's just like Instagram again. Like, I was trying to get away from this. I just wanted to watch, like, have something fun to be able to see. But it was definitely earlier, but I would say when Brian came over, well, at that point you had half the world is on TikTok, so you had a much bigger audience, so he already had the advantage.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, it worked out. It worked out. No matter what. That's
I will
funny.
say though, that did put Bourbon Pursuit in a different echelon over there. I think it crossed 189,000 followers pretty quickly because of it. But yeah, now we repost a lot of the stuff from the podcast on there, and that doesn't get a whole lot of great traction. But every once in a while, there'll be one that breaks through and gets 20 or 30,000 views on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the fun thing about the bourbon world today is there's a lot of good whiskey out there, but it's ultimately like, how do you connect with the audience? How do you connect with the people who are drinking it? And love it or hate it, like, social media is a big part of that. And if somebody sees a TikTok and then they're walking down a store shelf in Arizona that sounds like the newest distribution point, and they pick up a bottle, that is how people find a lot of new bottles these days. So it's fun to see things like that take off. And now I'm realizing we were at 52 minutes of this.
Time flies when you're having fun, guys, and only 7 minutes left on this deal.
You just wait for that.
Well, I feel like we
can
keep going for as long as we want, because probably the four of us would just sit here and talk about everything. But I will give a small closeout. But thank you all who joined us for the Advent Calendar tasting. Hope you kind of understand, like, the work and connections that go in behind of, like, what we include in the calendar. And as much as we like to sit here and joke about Kenny and Ryan, like, they've built something incredible. Like, no matter what it is, if it's on Seelbach or you find it in distribution, definitely try their stuff out, because they're making incredible whiskey. I would prefer to say that with them not on the live stream, because I like to compliment people behind their back and only say mean things to their face. But no, what they're doing is incredible. So definitely check them out if you haven't already. And it'll make me feel better if I use this as a plug for Seelbach and say, we also have a 2-barrel blend of Pursuit United double oaked. It's a 2-barrel blend that we talked about earlier, coming tomorrow. It is in the QR code. Brian's giving me the sign to the QR code. But yeah, thank you all for joining. This has been a super fun time, and we'll keep it going for a little bit longer. But I feel like I needed to at least give a little bit of closure for those who were just on here listening for what was happening in the Advent calendar.
Yeah, how often do people do like what are those like charity lives where you like see how long you can go live? Why don't we set one of those up sometime? You can set one of those up, right?
It's like a dance
Brian, you're still going to WhatsApp me at 7:30 in the morning. We both know it. We'll be on the phone by 8
sir.
a.m. And
I have been
We just need Sarah
challenged.
McLaughlin on here.
I've been challenged,
Really?
and only 3 minutes left. But, looks like I'm gonna be logging out of WhatsApp tonight.
yeah,
Quit.
yeah, that's
I am quitted. I'm quitted out of WhatsApp.
Oh, hold on. What was the also adding
Oh, was
Series
that, did I need to be in there for
67
something?
rye to my Seelbach cart?
There might be a couple of those still floating around.
What was 67?
So that would be a Maryland. So that would be Sagamore Maryland rye, a 52.
Oh, come on now.
43.5.
One of the
Yeah.
first, and you're hearing this if you're paying attention, that was one of the first Sagamore ryes released as a single barrel in Maryland, correct?
Yeah, because typically Sagamore's single barrels are a blend, and this was just a single mash bill of our 52 43.5.
Oh yeah, come on.
Oh, come on. Okay. And anyways, Sagamore, like if you haven't tried our rye whiskey, you're missing out. It's something special. Like I think we have the best rye whiskey in the damn market. I mean, no, like I'm not
Keep
boastful
going.
typically,
Keep going.
but I think our rye is some of the best rye whiskey being made today, and I'll put it up against any rye on the market. And if you're not a rye drinker, you're like, oh, it's too minty, this and that, try ours. It's special. It's not your typical rye whiskey. It's sweeter, it's fruitier, it's so damn good. And that single barrel is special. So that's a good pick.
I'm a Pursuit Rye evangelist, and not only that, someone earlier, I'm not going to go back and find the comment, but yes, I will. Somebody earlier was saying something about the proof, and I found it talking about being really beautiful with water, and I'm not knocking that, but the guys did end up adding an 88 SKU to both the bourbon and the rye this year, and I'm telling you, they're both great, but that 88 rye, like, I think it would stomp 80% of its competition, equivalents. I like that one a whole bunch, but I like all the ryes. So whether they're, I'm really curious about that 67, but that's why I like the nuances to the blends that we've done. And we've had some that we tried going in blends and we came away with single barrels and all types of stuff. The ryes are just delicious.
Yes, they are.
That's where I feel like a lot of bourbon drinkers they're progressing a little bit. They're getting more into the rye, and I mean, as much as I hate to just jump on the train of like, yeah, Pursuit Rye is fantastic, but it is fantastic. Like it's still one where if somebody's having a blind tasting and they're like, oh, what bottle should we throw in? I'm like, put the Pursuit Rye in there, because I guarantee you all your bourbon friends will pick this blind as their favorite because it's that good. So yeah, it holds its own amongst, and that, I mean, in general, I feel like that's a fun thing about craft whiskey right now is the fact that you can put it up against just about any major brand, major distillery, and it holds its own all day long. So that's the fun part to see.
1 minute left, guys. There's 1 minute.
There's 1 minute. All right.
I'm just getting closer, guys.
We will sit here and have way too much fun. That's why we need time cutoffs. So I'll close it out. But Kenny and Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. While this is a little different setting than probably some of the other Advent calendars, which are a little more into the tastings and everything, it's always fun to have you all on. For those who are listening who didn't hear me at the beginning, like, we do the community roundtable once every 4 weeks. I get to hear the heat on what I'm doing wrong as a participant. So for me, it's just fun to have you guys on and kind of reverse the roles. But thanks so much for joining us, and hope everybody enjoyed the double oaked. If you haven't already, definitely go grab a bottle, whether it's the kind of core SKU of the double oaked or what we're releasing tomorrow, which is our private selection of it. Like, these guys are putting out amazing whiskey. So thank you all for watching, and Kenny and Ryan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you again. And why choose one when you can have both? So I guess you should just order both the bottles. That would probably be the preferable thing to do.
It's the
But
smartest play, really. It really is the smartest.
Yeah, you got to compare the two.
Yeah.
And you probably, I mean, while you're at it, I mean, if you wouldn't, like, you probably don't. I mean, you don't know what a double oaked rye blend tastes like either. You should add that. And he basically said they're like snowflakes. So, like, I mean, any available SKUs, you kind of we like snowflakes, right?
Yeah, save on shipping. That's the best way to do it.
Like they're in the window behind us. So
Yeah. Smart. But again, thank you so much for having us on. We appreciate it. Thank you for letting us be a part of the Seelbach Advent calendar. And yeah, I hope everybody enjoys what they're drinking tonight. I know that Ryan and myself, we put a lot of effort and our hearts into everything that we're doing to try to create a new product, something that's very interesting and unique to the whiskey world, because we kind of talked about it at the very beginning of the show about how, as a part of Bourbon Pursuit, we get a bunch of bottles sent to us. Seelbach has a ton of stuff in their office, and we get to try it all. I think we have probably the deepest R&D cabinet out of anybody inside of the bourbon world. So we get to compare ourselves to absolutely everybody on the face of the earth. And so by doing that, we hold ourselves into a very high standard and making sure that we're releasing really quality whiskey too. So make sure you go and check that out. I'll give one more plug. As Blake said, go and you can subscribe over to Bourbon Pursuit. We've got another roundtable happening next Monday. So, Blake, here's your warning.
Next Monday, I'm going to be in Disney. No,
how weird.
I'll be home. I'll be live.
So we've got that. So subscribe to Bourbon Pursuit everywhere. And then if you are coming to Louisville, please make sure you come to Pursuit Spirits on Whiskey Row. Come and check it out. We run an experience called the Whole Shebang. You get to do your own personal barrel selection, where you go and you taste 6 different barrels. Then you get to fill your own whiskey directly from the barrel into the bottle using a whiskey thief. And it's no pulling levers, but it's a true single barrel selection experience. And then you can also get some cocktails afterward at our new bar called Trial and Error. So please come and check us out. Thank you guys once again for having us on.
I've heard the downtown location is great.
I know,
I've never been invited.
I told the guys before we got on, Blake, that we had a missed opportunity for not doing this live at the holiday pop-up.
At the holiday pop-up.
Yeah.
No, I'm getting a little bit of flack. The fact that they send me an invite to the grand opening 24 hours before the grand opening. I have not been. I've been in all phases of the construction process at the Pursuit tasting room downtown. I've taken multiple pictures outside of the downtown location with a bunch of construction, but I still get to hear about it that I have not been to Trial and Error yet.
I didn't say it, but you'll be there soon.
You've been in town enough. You just go see other clients and it sees where we stand on the total thing.
You're my late night call. I mean, if I can't call you at 11:30 and say, like, you up, I mean, what are we doing?
If it's
Well, Trial and Error is the
10:30,
new Taj,
I'm
okay?
asleep.
Instead of TAJ, it's TAE.
URS.
Love it. Well, thanks, guys. Again, appreciate it once again.
Yeah, thank you. An incredible advent calendar you created. I've had these before, and a lot of times there's a few good ones, a lot of bad ones. You all nailed it with a lot of great producers. We're really honored and grateful that you included us. You look at every day, and I'm like, wow, that's a really great producer putting out fantastic stuff. Like this advent calendar, it's definitely the top of advent calendars. There's a lot of great whiskey in there, and two, just allowing people to discover new and interesting things. It's pretty awesome what you are doing. So really excited for it.
I won't lie. When we were in the weeds of it, I didn't really think about it. And then once we get done with the project, I was like, Blake, This is pretty cool. Like this is a nice thing. I mean, again, shout out to Emily for all the hard work she put in for that, and Blake and everyone. You know, I'm just a fly on the wall in this live stream.
All right, last 20 seconds.
That is the fun. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll close it out. I think this may hold the record as the longest Advent calendar live tasting we've done, but it couldn't be with any better people. So thank you all for joining, and we will see you all.
Get you again on the 7th of December.
I was gonna say on the 7th. Do we want to say?
Nope.
I got some feedback about spoiler alerts, so we will just see everybody on the 7th. So
we won't spoil it, Blake. Just know you and I will be there. So
we'll be there. We'll be ready to go, and that is it. So yeah, thank you all. Have a good night.
Cheers, everybody.
Doodles.